Hi educators, Leah here. In this video, I want to take a look at how you can use Flipgrid to dip your toe into podcasting with your students. I'm by no means an expert on podcasting, nor do I have my own podcast, but I think Flipgrid can be a great tool to start with because it's rather easy to set up. The editing tools students would need for basic editing are right there in Flipgrid, and you can set it up safely. So you can start with just the audience of your class and see how things go and slowly open it up to a larger audience. There's also a lot of great commenting features already built into Flipgrid. Now, if you're not interested in this, I am going to share in another video how you could set up a Google site and use audio files that you can record on a Chromebook with an easy-to-use audio recorder, where students could also approach podcasting. So I'm not going to talk about the specifics of getting started with the podcasting, more focus on the technology needed in order to do that. So we're going to go ahead and log into our Flipgrid account. I already have an account and I have that through my Google login. If you don't have a Flipgrid account, I encourage you to create one and try using it with your students. There are so many different things that you can do with students, and a quick search online will give you thousands of creative ways to use this beyond simply having students respond to a question. Still a good way to use it, but there's so much more you can do. So let's talk about groups and topics. Groups are the larger kind of umbrella. I think of it like classes or overarching topics that I might have with students. For example, you can already see I've created a group called Podcasting with Flipgrid. Now within this group, I can create a whole bunch of topics where we can contain all of our podcasting topics for that class within this group. The benefit of setting up a group lets you set certain default features, and I'm going to go into my group just so that you can real quickly see some of those default features. So I do have a student join code, which allows students to join groups, and then here I can set my permissions, and I'm starting with keeping it kind of locked down. I'm going to do student email, but if you want to get more specific, you could always do your Google Classroom, where then it is only the students in your Google Classroom who are able to access the topics within this group. And as you slowly branch out, there are public options available. Just keep in mind that if you go public, anyone can access and anyone can comment. So you do need to make sure that you're doing that in a student-safe way. And I would talk with administrators and other people in your organization before you jump into that. So I would recommend Google Classroom or your student email if you have an education domain. I set this up so that anyone in our domain can access this particular Flipgrid group. Underneath the features, you can decide if you want to allow students to receive email notifications when new topics are created or new videos are recorded. Depending on how you use this with students, you can toggle this on or off. Maybe you'll keep it off to start with, and then once you get up and running, you'll want to do that. Now, you do have the option to choose a custom banner or choose one of the banners that are already provided for you. I just chose a banner that was already provided, although actually I think this one might be a little bit more appropriate. It makes me think of sound files. I do have my group status as active. If you're going to use your group actively with your students, it does need to be active. Hidden will hide the group from students, and they won't be able to access any of your topics. This can be great if you need a little break and need to turn things off. So we're going to go ahead and update our group. We've updated our group. Now, if you're using this through posting the larger group, and then students are going to find the topics within the group, you can share out the whole group, or if you want every student to post in a specific topic, it may be easier to share out the specific topic. You do also have the opportunity to add co-pilots, which are co-teachers. So if you're working with someone else, you can easily add them so they get that same level of access that you have. Now, it will always start with the hello, I am. You can remove this hello I am, or you could use it as a great way to get students started. We're going to go ahead and create a topic from scratch. Maybe I'm going to start with stories about us, and I want to add some information here where students are going to get started and some directions for them. Maybe you even have a planning sheet or something else, or even a sample recording from yourself that you can add here where students can really get the picture of what their audio file might look like. Now, keep in mind, podcasts are audio files, and they capture the importance of being able to communicate and interest and engage our listeners with just audio. Now, there isn't a setting to toggle on audio only with Flipgrid, but on the student side, when they go to record, they can record audio only. So that would be one thing that you would want to put in your directions. You may even want to record a quick screencast showing students how to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do this from the student perspective as well. So the big thing that you want to pay attention to is your topic moderation. You probably want this turned on when you first start using it with students. It just ensures that you have the chance to preview things before all of the students have a chance to listen to them. It's a great way to make sure that things are safe and respectable before you put them up for public use within your Flipgrid, whoever your Flipgrid audience is. The other thing that you want to think about is the video and text comments. Maybe you want text comments only, or maybe initially you don't want any comments. Thinking about how we guide students and teach students how to give comments that are uplifting, but comments that are constructive criticism so that we can improve. It's really important that you think about setting your recording time. Now, a lot of podcasts, especially those geared for students, I would say are in the 5 to 10 minute range. You may want to start with a 5-minute limit. It is going to shut off the recorder at 5 minutes. So thinking about that, so students aren't going on or feel the need to record forever, talking about how they don't necessarily need their story to be that long. They want to ensure that they're making their point. That's where that planning process for your podcast is going to be really, really important. You do have the ability to toggle on closed captions. I highly suggest this. I, as a listener, find that I get a lot more out of something I'm listening to if I also see the words in front of me. So having that on, I think, is really important. You do have the option to go through and add more features, things like attachments for your students, deciding when this is going to be active and if it's going to disappear from activity at a certain point, frequency in which you want notifications, and all of those video features. I would pay attention to your video features, deciding what are most appropriate for your podcast, because yes, typically those are audio only. So you may want to allow no cover image effects. Maybe you want students to have that ability. You also, again, want to make sure you give those clear directions on how they record just audio. Then you do have the ability to set basic feedback and or custom feedback where you can provide students specific feedback and or scores related to their podcast. Once you're ready to go, you can save these to your default settings. It makes it a lot faster to create topics in the future. Just making sure that you quickly scroll over things and see what settings you might want to toggle on and off. So we're going to go ahead and create the topic. I'm just going to read the directions here in the blank. Now, if I'm posting, this is the link that if I post this in Google Classroom or somewhere else for my students to grab, that's the link that will take them directly to this topic, whereas the group will allow them to see all of the topics within the group. Now, we're going to go ahead and go directly to this topic. If we're not already logged in with Google, it is going to prompt us to log in with Google, and that's going to be important based on how you have set up your Flipgrid. Remember, I set mine up so that it is for users in our domain. I'm going to join with Google. Okay, I've joined with Google and I am ready to record a response. Now, here is the major difference and how we are going to use this for a podcast. So I did allow the video and audio. It is loading. And the major difference is I'm going to click options and I am going to select mic only. Now, once I select mic only, I'll notice this pulsating blue mic. This is where I can tell that it's definitely picking up my mic as it's going a little crazy. I'm not going to do any video within this. I am just going to record my mic. I can hit the record button at any point and I can begin recording my podcast. I can do this independently. I can record the podcast with another user, keeping in mind that we both have to be talking into that same mic at this point. And then once I have it all recorded, I can pause that. I can click next. I have the opportunity to trim and edit and rearrange my clips so that I can get exactly. And I can begin recording my podcast. I can get exactly what I want. Then I'm going to click next. Here's where I can do my display name. If I have a link or optional information, I can add other things there. And then students do have the ability to take a selfie or upload a photo or add a name tag so that they can create that little thumbnail for their podcast that we a lot of times see with podcasts that we listen to, not watch. And once they're done, they would just click submit. Now, if you have the moderator turned on, you would then have to listen and release that for other students to be able to hear. But this is a quick way that you can jump into podcasts without there being a fear of student privacy. If you've set your Flipgrid up the right way, you have the ability to moderate things ahead of time, and it limits students to how long they can record, and all of those editing features are right in there. I find Flipgrid super user-friendly. Students don't typically need a lot of instruction ahead of time to learn how to use it. Most of them figure it out before even we do. If you have any questions about podcasting with Flipgrid, don't hesitate to reach out, and hopefully you found this as something that you might give a try in your classroom.